It's another business week. Good morning and thank you for joining us on the program. I am Bisi Adebayo. Let's start off with crude oil prices, which are down today, and this is largely due to growing concerns among oil traders on the possible outcome of the OPEC Plus meeting holding today. Brent crude futures prices were down by more than 1.7% to trade at $47.35 a barrel, while US WTI crude futures dropped 1.62% to $44.83 a barrel. However, both benchmarks are still set to gain more than 20% this month of November, and that's the highest monthly gains that we've seen since May, boosted by hopes for 3 promising COVID-19 vaccines in curbing its spread and in turn boost fuel demands. Of course, we continue to have our eyes on that market, and we'll bring you more updates as soon as we know more. And back home now, Nigerian ports attract 40 to 60% of all the cargoes in the North and Central African sub-region. Many years after some parts of the ports were concessioned to private operators, they still say there is still a lack of efficiency and that the ports have been stretched beyond their capacity. But joining me now to discuss issues around Nigeria's ports access is the President, Computer and Allied Products Association of Nigeria, Mr. Adeniyi Ojikutu, who is right here with us in the studio. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Now, let's start, let me begin rather by asking you, what really is the problem with the clearing of cargo at Nigerian ports?
Basically, Nigerian port system, clearing cargo system, and all that is, it's supposed to be of international standards. And what is the standard? You know that we always say that we have Nigerian standard. But what is the Western African standard? Nigeria is supposed to be the largest economy in Africa, the giant of Africa. And at it, if we are the largest economy, that's the number of transactions that goes around international businesses is the largest in volume. At that, are we not supposed to have at least very close to the so-called international standard of clearing of cargoes and all that? But the problem is that it's not a one straightforward problem. There are, but I'll break them down. But the major is that we do not have anybody that we can hold specifically responsible for performance. And I'm not just saying this based on, cargo clearing alone. I'm saying it on the national economy and Nigeria as a whole. What are the parameters for performance and who is responsible for what? I think the other time we had the MPA, Ajia Adiza, she was saying, okay, MPA key performance indicators. But to us, the truth is that MPA should have the powers to regulate. They are the regulator, the landlords of the port authority. So they should have all the powers they need.
So if are you saying that the MPA is not in total control? Whatever
it is that they want to, there is no excuse. There is no excuse. Now, they have to work with other agencies, the customs, NAFDAC, SON, Standards Organization, the police, the DSS, and what have you. While they have to do that, those people are coming to their own facility to work with them. Now, the problem in cargo is you can't say clear customs alone. There are times that they will tell you that the server is not working. For the fact that the server is not working, you can't go ahead in processing your documents. Now, if that is a challenge, what are the backup solutions? There must be minimum standard in terms of that Nigeria must get to. If it is West African standard we want to use, if it is international standard, we should be able to know that the turnaround time, what is the time that somebody is, saying I want to clear a product or I want to clear a cargo, for instance, on a Monday. Can I get it out in 24 hours? Can I get it out in 48 hours? Can I get it out in 72 hours?
So what's the turnaround time at the moment?
The turnaround time, as we speak, is not less than a month. Even when you are done with the customs, you are done with all the agencies, how will you get your truck into the port? These are open facts. So these are things that we all need to understand. The government needs to understand that NPA, they've given NPA the authority as the Nigerian Port Authority. The authority should be total, so that if they are not doing what they are supposed to do. Now, when you ask me, or you ask any Nigerian, is the port authority or the port clearing or cargo clearing system, is it effective or efficient? The answer is no. So who is in charge? Who do we hold responsible? Is it the Minister for Transportation? So there should probably be, there should be proper accounting system, so that somebody will know that, okay, the customs that are working in the port, the security agencies, NDLEA, all the agencies should work as a team to make sure with the agents, so that we'll get, you know, for instance, we can achieve a 24 hours maximum. But as we speak, you can't achieve, if you have a container, you have a truck, you want to get a truck to clear, from clearing to getting your truck in, cannot take you less than 3 weeks, 1 month.
But what are the issues that make it take so long?
The issues are the government is talking about they want to get scanners. Even if you get scanners and the customer has done their own bits, this, you know, some people will not want that to work, definitely, because they know that the moment the technology comes in, the number of people that will be needed in terms of, you know, custom officers, NDLA officers, and whatever, will be reduced. Because once you want to come and do physical inspection, you want to count what is there, the scanner will have automatically given those out technologically, and that will be something that 1 or 2 persons, it will reduce the number.
And we actually don't need that, looking at the unemployment, high unemployment rate.
No, we are not here to determine that. But the government will determine what they want and the strategy they want in terms of, you know, going technological or creating employment. Is an advanced macroeconomic issue. But based on this, that what is the number of time? If we do not solve the problem of, okay, if the scanners are there, the human contact will be reduced. If human contact is reduced, the process becomes faster. So you can achieve, so there should be a template. There was this time that they talk about presidential task force and all that, presidential task force, you know, are in charge. As it is, Navy was there before. People were complaining, they were protesting about extortion and all that. I think so. And after then, there comes the presidential task force. As it is, people are still complaining that probably they are creating more problems. It is subjected to debate. Why some people are supporting them, some are against them. But when there are no, you know, check and balances, these people that you have put in there, some people are asking, what is their role? Now, they are saying they want to be a call-up logging system and all that, that, you know, they want to use technology to, you know, create call log and all that. But at the same time, all these things are subjected to somebody must be responsible. If nobody is responsible, everybody will come, all the agencies will come, you bring custom here, you bring NDLEA here, you bring SON here. You don't understand. A product that somebody has certified, they have been pre-shipment inspection, you get to Nigeria, they want to do, you know, and you want to get SON cap. All the processes, I don't think those are things that are, you know, creating. So at long run, what we're going to connect all these to is how has he affected Nigerian economy. When we move forward in the course of the interview, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Now, one of the issues is the fact that there are actually 6 ports in the country. We have the Apapa and Tinkan in Lagos, the Onne and Port Harcourt ports in Rivers State, the Warri port, the Calabar port as well. But on many accounts, only the Lagos ports appear to be operating near full capacity. Why has it remained this way for so long?
Because, you know, a lot of, you know, ships cannot bat in Onne and those other ports in Calabar because of the depth of the sea. So because Lagos has a deeper seaport, you know, so more ships will have opportunity to come into Lagos ports. So therefore, government will probably need to, you know, increase the depth of those other ports so that they can take more, you know, they can accommodate more ships and the facility would, you know, improve. That's one. 2 is that even when you do that, every businesses, what are they bringing in? Goods and services, raw materials. Where is the market? The market is Lagos. So even if you open ports in all the water, along the water, coast states in Nigeria, it does not, if the market is not there. So would somebody that wants to take a product to any other region in Nigeria for adventure and knows that 50% of those products, he or she will have to sell them in Lagos and maybe at destination, office or location, it is the only 50% that is going to be sold there. So the person rather comes to Lagos, selling Lagos. That's why I look at it that Lagos State government, for the fact that we have the ports, Lagos State has the ports, Lagos State government should try as much as possible to do advanced research on how best that Lagos would, because that port alone is good enough for any state. Though the government is not getting the direct, resources because it's on exclusive list, it's a federal government, institution, the MPA. But as it is, even the government can look at, every importer prefers Lagos because the market is in Lagos. So how can the government expand the economy? These are research for the governments to do. Even Ogun can tap from it in terms of industrialization, materials, and, finished products as well, as it were. So therefore, everybody, majority of the importers and business owners in Nigeria will still prefer Lagos because of that market. Market size, facilities. There are a lot of warehouses that are already established. People have already established their distribution network in Lagos. So that is the advantage, and that would give credence to decision. It will give credence to the decision of the business person that, okay, why do I have to go to extreme north or down south or any other, region when I know that I'll still, when I take my products there, I will only sell 50%. I'll still be looking for how to get the 50% back to Lagos where the market is. All right.
Now, you talked about distribution. Now, let's hinge on that now. Looking at transporting these goods, what is that process like? I can see you are smiling. What is that process like? Can we have a description of what it's like?
Some of these things, when we discuss them, it comes with passion and, empathy and a feeling of why have we not, been able as a nation to do some of these things right. Why? Now, let's appreciate this government that they have a better direction compared to the governments of yesterday. About I would call them low, but I would still call them higher than the previous government. Because up to today, do you know that in Guinness in Ikeja, in a lot of factories, a lot of companies across Nigeria, they have rail lines, yesteryears. They have rail lines from the ports in Apapa, Ebutemeta, and Atitwe. It will get, when you get to maybe Okene, or it gets to Ilaro, or it gets to Ibadan, or it gets to Ofa, or it gets to Ilorin, or it gets to Lokoja, it gets to any capital city, or it gets to Kano. They have rail lines taking cargoes to most of those big companies that are heavy importers. I mean 40, 50 years ago. So why are we not there today? Guinness in Ikeja has a rail that gets to their factory. All you need to do is when you get things to Ikeja, they'll connect a rail that will take those things that they need because they are heavy importers. So if, as of today, 2020 years after Christ, in Nigeria, we have been unable to put these things as a plan. This government has spent how many years? We can see what they are doing in terms of rail. We score them higher, but we are not here. It's not here to Uru. We are not yet at the destination. They should do times 10 of what they are doing. They should do times 10 of what they are doing, because by the time you get a rail line to a particular station, people that are heavy importers, companies like Dangote, like Honeywell, if they have their factory anywhere and they know they are heavy importers, the government will support them, facilitate rail lines, so that the cargoes will not, things will not be moving on the road. You need to travel on Nigerian roads to be able to see what we're saying. Those trucks that we are saying, somebody now said something that, okay, some of these trucks will not get jobs. It's a lie. They would rather go into the farms to bring products to warehouses. It will be more frequent into those warehouses that they will be put in rails, transport. You know, the rail lines will do the heavy carriages. But if we do not master or solve this problem of rail lines, Apapa, Tinkan, all the terminals that are concessioned already will have rail lines connecting them. And when this is done, you will see that the congestion issue, the major challenge one of the major challenges in the port is basically how do thousands of trailers, trucks, moves into the port. So you now say you will be marveled when you know what it cost as a Friday to get a truck to load a container.
So can you let us in into what it costs actually?
The cost is, if you want to get a truck into Apapa as a Friday, I'm not saying today because today is still early, as a Friday 2-3 days ago, it will cost you less than 800,000 naira to 1 million naira. You want to talk to a truck that, okay, please take I want to get a container in, oh yeah, take my container and, you know, after all the cleaning has been done.
Why are the fees so high?
This is something that was just in the last 1 month, 2 months, that was just about 80,000 to 100,000 to give a truck.
So
but because there is
price?
Congestion, because there is congestion in the ports, what has happened? Nigerian economy is such a one-way economy to the extent that the containers that are brought into Nigeria, when an importer offloads, either you are offloading, let me first conclude this thought, that even when the 800 to 1 million naira is just a cost for you to probably load, you know, get a container of a container of a car, then you take it out to offload terminals in Apapa is 800 to 1 million naira. If you want to take any product, any goods, either cars or any product, raw material, whatever, out of Lagos, for instance, it can't cost you less than 2 million naira from Apapa to Abuja. 2 million naira, not for clearing, no. For the truck that you are paying a truck, that, okay, truck company or a logistic company take, I want you to take this container from here, because it will take them like 2-3 weeks to even get into the port. So these are things that are not acceptable, and the authorities should look, as we're speaking, as we're talking about it, they should go and do their investigation. Why has it been like that? Because everybody, there is congestion. The containers, the reason why it has been like that, or why there is congestion is this, that the containers that are brought into Nigeria, the containers that are brought into Nigeria with goods, cars, products, you know, when it gets to Nigeria, you take it out, they will say you should pay, shipping companies will say pay 200,000 naira.
Wow.
When you pay 200,000 naira as deposit, when you pay 200,000 naira as deposit, okay, you return it 24 hours or 48 hours that you are taking it to anywhere. Maybe you're taking it to Ikeja, you offload. You are supposed to take it back. But the implication is that for the truck to now queue again, to go and help you drop your empty container, will take the truck another 3 weeks. So that the cost is that for now, the 200,000 naira, if it is now queuing, they will now be removing money from that container. They will be charging you demurrage that you are not returning it. So that 200,000 naira, you would probably, if the truck cannot get back into the port in 3-4 weeks, the 200,000 naira will be removed as charges. You will now be owing. That is the practice in Nigeria.
All right, Mr. Ojikutu. I know that we can go on and on. It's an ongoing conversation, and we'll probably have to continue someday, but time will not permit us to go beyond this point. We'd like to thank you, President, Computer and Allied Products Association of Nigeria, Mr. Adeni Ojikutu. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
When we return in just a moment, we'll talk about harnessing technology in the agriculture value chain. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Nigeria's agricultural sector has over the years played a major role as the mainstay of the economy, with renewed vigor by the federal government towards backward integration, and that's in a bid to ensure that agriculture output is enough to actually sustain the country. Now, analysts have made several calls to the government to provide sustainable policies that will ensure that more Nigerians, particularly the youth, are productively involved in agricultural activities. But what strategies can the government adopt to ensure that youth utilize technology to boost the agriculture value chain? Well, with me to answer that question is an agri enthusiast, a youth, as well as the business development manager at Agrocentric, Olaomi Olaoye. She's also right here with us in the studio. Good morning, Olaomi. Thank you for coming on the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, you're a very young lady now, so I'm sure that many are wondering how come you're involved in agriculture. So tell us about your involvement in agriculture and what actually spurred you to tap into that initiative.
Well, our interest came about, from the gap we saw in the agri value chain. We saw that, farmers were facing some challenges, farmers who produce in somewhat large quantities or relatively small-scale quantities as well. They don't have a ready market. They have to go the extra mile to, seek for a market. And you would agree with me that, the production cycle is not complete until product actually gets to the end users. So it's not enough for these farmers to have rice, maize, goat, pig for sale without having a ready market. That was one challenge we saw, and we wanted to, create solutions to that. Also, we found out that, farmers don't have access to agro support services, be it you want to lease machineries, tractors for, for your crops, for your farms, you want to lease warehouses. They don't have access to these support systems, services rather. So we said we needed to, bring up solutions to this, and then we came about a tech platform, an e-commerce platform where farmers can come meet and they can sell their products on these platforms. They have a ready market, not just in Nigeria, not just within the shores of Africa, but also they have access to a global market. And we're looking at over 34 countries presently. And yes, so they have access to this wide market, and they don't have to actively seek for a ready market, and we wouldn't have issues of, waste and all of that. So yeah, those were some of the reasons why we had to get into the sector and, provide solutions to these challenges.
Now, you're talking about technology now. What's your assessment of the use of technology in driving Nigeria's agricultural value chain as we speak? Are we actually doing enough? Are we getting there?
Well, to me, it's almost like we're still, scratching the surface, because really, if you look at the Western world, technology has gone really far in terms of, the agricultural sector. For us here, that's why, there are so many companies that are springing up, trying to mitigate this challenge, going on online platforms. And you would agree with me, every business, across all sectors, thrives through the internet, thrives through technology. So the internet is the fuel and engine for any business whatsoever. So in Nigeria, we are trying, we're still scratching the surface, like I said. We haven't gotten there yet, but, with new innovations that come up, regularly, we hope that, we'll be able to get there and, really utilize technology in the agricultural sector.
Now, when you talk about technology now, of course, it's many of the young people who are tech savvy that can actually tap into this. What about the old farmers who are not probably educated? How do we co-opt them to actually adopt the use of technology?
Well, yes. It is known that, youths usually shy away from agriculture because it is associated with the rural areas, quote and unquote. And, it's the grandparents, the old people in the rural areas that are seen as, people who are farmers, and the youths are not interested. So one of the ways by which we can reach these farmers, in the rural settlements is to, train the youths, train people in that axis, in those axes in the rural areas. We have some empowerment programs for them. We train the youths on how to use technology, because all of them have, you'll be shocked, all of them have phones. Even in those rural settlements, they have phones. They're on all these, social media platforms, especially Facebook. They're all there. So we need to train them, go to them, explain to them what they can use technology for, how technology can aid their farming businesses, how they can make money and all of that. So we just need to have that training facilities. The government needs to come in when it comes to this particular issue. We need to train the youths, we need to go there. And this brings us to agricultural extension programs, where we train people to go and give these farmers the ground root information, things like, climate change, new technology, fertilizers, organic fertilizers that they can use. So, yeah, this is a very important issue, actually, that we're facing.
Now, let's talk more about the role of government. Of course, the CBN has put in place a number of agri-intervention funds. The government has also put several agri-intervention funds in place. And just on Friday, the CBN governor actually listed agriculture value chain as part of the key areas that financial institutions should actually tap into. But then, how easy has it been for startups in the agriculture value chain to actually access funds?
Well, first of all, we must give kudos to the CBN governor for this call. The funds have been there for a while. We've seen some testimonies from startups, of how they were able to access as much as 5 million naira for their businesses and all of that. But the numbers are low. So what we are admonishing the government to do now is, we want to see more testimonies. We want the process to be easy. We want more startups to be able to have access to this, because as it is currently, the numbers are not exactly high, so we're looking at having more startups to be able to have access to these funds. So we're optimistic. We're looking forward to that.
Well, let's keep hope alive. Now, let's still talking about the role of agriculture. Now, analysts have actually attributed the use of technology across the value chain as part of the reasons why we saw the agri sector do so well in the second quarter and the third quarter GDP of the year. But what more needs to be done for the agri sector to make more impact on our economy? Well,
like we know, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, the agricultural sector did well, in the second quarter of this year. That's it did 24.69%, 65%, that was the contribution. So, and that's higher compared to the first quarter, which was about 21.96%. Contribution to GDP. So we can see that it can only get better from the look of things, and it's evident that agriculture is the backbone of the nation. Like it's not the oil sector as we are right now, and I can see that the government can already see that the agricultural industry is a necessary place, is a necessary sector that needs concentration. So we're hoping that the next quarter, or should I say next year, the first quarter, we'll be able to exit recession, and yeah, through agriculture. So that's what we're hoping.
Now, when we started this conversation, you talked about the fact that, so many companies have sprung up in recent times, of course, driving the use of technology to improve agriculture. But then what are the key aspects across the value chain that technology has actually played a significant role?
Yeah, in terms of, production of crops, how do we produce these crops before, in terms of improving seedlings, production of improved seedlings, people now use greenhouses in production, fertilizers, the organic fertilizers now. There's so many things that technology has done, creating a platform where farmers can, come and connect with buyers, not just in Nigeria, but also outside, the shores of Nigeria. Yeah, so technology has done quite a lot, even though we haven't gotten there yet. There are drones, and also robots and all that. We aren't there yet, but we're hoping that we get there. And yeah, the question you asked before regarding what we can do and all of that, we should do extensive research. Nigeria needs to do extensive research on commodities that can be great earners of foreign exchange for the nation rather. An instance is cocoa and cashew. These are normal commodities that we export on a daily, but they've been found years back. So we need to do extensive research on new commodities that are in high demand in the international market. For instance, lemon leaves. Lemon leaves here, they are considered weed. And weed is an unwanted plant. So we burn them, we cut them, and they're of no use to us. But surprisingly, it's in high demand in the international market. It's a key ingredient in the making of fragrance, and that market is about $2 billion market. So if we can tap into these commodities, you know, we find them, we will be able to export them and earn foreign exchange for the nation. Yeah, so.
Now, let's talk about artificial scarcity, which has been a major issue, and that has been largely driven by insecurity, the high cost of transportation, and that has made it difficult for farm produce to be moved from where they are to most of their target markets. So how best can technology address a challenge such as this?
Well, to be able to face these challenges heads-on, we can overemphasize the use of technology. So in cases where we have insecurity, like currently now in Borno State, you know, farmers are being killed and all of that. So we are dependent on certain locations in Nigeria for certain products. For instance, tomato. If we don't grow tomato in Kano, we can't have tomatoes. You know, but technology has made these things easy. There's something called soilless farming. Who says you can't plant crops with soil? You don't need soil to plant. So if we can adopt some of this technology, yeah, we're not there yet, like I said, but technology is available to us if we can tap into it. Soilless farming, you don't need soil to do it. So who says we can't plant tomatoes here in Lagos? You know, so yeah, these are some of the things we need to look at.
So do you see us getting to a point where we have a lot more youth, you know, wanting to take interest in agriculture, leading to maybe an oversaturation at some point?
No, not likely. Because first of all, we need to look at the population. The population keeps increasing, it's on a rise, and currently it's about 3.2% increase in our population, and this invariably means that production has to increase as well. So, and we're looking at about 6% increase in production to be able to meet the local demand. So I do not think, I mean, not anytime soon, you know, the agricultural sector would keep booming, and we actually need more hands, we need more youths, we need the youths to be actively involved and take on, you know, key roles in the industry.
And so how do we actually get the youth to take up key roles? What's the role of government? I mean, you're a youth and you're here talking agriculture. So how do we actually, yes.
We need to create awareness. We need to train them. Like I said, our company, you know, we have these empowerment programs. We go to the rural settlements, you know, so that these youths understand that they don't need to migrate. They don't need to move to the urban areas. They can do things within the comfort of their farms. So it's about creating awareness. The government needs to do that, you know. We can advertise, you know, go to them. That's why I mentioned the agriculture extension programs. You know, we go to them and train them, you know, on how to use spreadsheets, on how to use word processing, on how to advertise online. And also we can also employ them. They can be brokers. Who says they can't be brokers for these farmers, these old people you mentioned? They can be brokers for them. You know, we train them and they earn some money. That means they're employed. They don't have to move to the urban centers, the urban areas to look for employment. Do you understand? So that's what we're seeing.
Now, you talked about online advertisement. Now, we've seen a lot of, you know, transactions online. The COVID-19 pandemic has been an eye-opener, and many people have adopted, you know, the use of technology to do their businesses. Now, is it even possible for me, for instance, to want to tap into the agriculture business by just, you know, clicking, you know, by the use of my mobile phone, for instance?
Absolutely, absolutely. You can be in the comfort of your living room and go on a platform, you know, and do business regarding agriculture. So you don't have to have a background in agriculture. You don't have to study agriculture. You know, there are companies with online platforms who serve as consultants. You know, they do all the dirty job. They advise accordingly, you know, what sector is, you know, you can invest in, how to do the business. They give you financials and things like that. So, of course, you can. The internet is moving fast. Like, the technology is moving. So you can do absolutely anything on this platform. So, yes. Yes.
So if you were to speak with maybe the president or the Minister for Agriculture now, what would you tell them to do to actually drive, you know, to encourage more people to take up agriculture?
Yeah, we know, like we said, like we had mentioned, you know, we need to create an enabling environment, you know, for farmers, for people who want to even come into the sector. We're looking at investors. We're looking at even Nigerians in the diaspora who want to invest. So the government needs to create policies that make this easy for people to invest, people to come into it. The government also need to train the youth, like they said, empower the youth. Let them know what the vast opportunities that are available to them. So it's about creating awareness, funding, support. So yeah, that's what we would say.
Well, it's been quite an interesting conversation with you, Business Development Manager, Agrocentric Olawumi Olaoye. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, now let's just do a quick review of last week's activities at the Nigerian equities market, where it was a broadly bullish performance with mild gains recorded in 3 sessions. Now, the all-share index, however, remained well above the 34,000 psychological mark, closing at 34,885.5. Activity levels were weak as volume and value traded plunged by 84.1% and 28.1% respectively. When you look at the performance across sectors now, it was broadly positive except for the banking and consumer indices, with the industrial, the oil and gas and insurance indices closing in the green. Well, a stockbroker at Valmont Securities Limited, Tajuddin Olayinka, joins us now for review and outlook for the week. Good morning, Mr. Olayinka. Thank you for joining us on the program. Now, before we touch on what the markets would look like last week, can you just give us a brief overview of last week's trading at the market?
Well, last week was more of a stable week for the markets. We saw some movement. We saw that market gain about 2.24%, just between Monday and Friday. So it was a good market. It was a market that actually came out from the shock that they witnessed after the circuit and after the results that were released by the bank. So I mean, and then again after the NBS broadcast of the GDP figure that we are now in the second. So the market recovered from that shock, and we saw some good movement across board.
So what direction are we likely to see the markets this week?
I believe that investors are gradually getting themselves locked out of the misinterpretation of results that were released by the bank. They have seen that some of these results were actually good. If you look at it in relative terms, because significant portion of banking business, was that international trade that was on lockdown during the pandemic. So now that the results were released, though didn't show much improvement in terms of profitability, but it gives the direction that in spite of that lockdown, they were able to show that excellent result. Means that markets will embrace those results. So I expect the banking stock to provide the lead, because usually they provide the lead in the market. Now that the market is understanding the results, that those stocks are actually positive, and that what the slowdown was unusual. So going forward, I expect the banking stock to lead the market. I also expect that some of these uninformed traders that perhaps mislead the market in shortly after those results and after the MBS announcement will somehow moderate the activities this week. So I expect to see a balanced market this week.
All right, stockbroker at Valmont Securities, Mr. Tajuddin Olayinka, thank you for speaking with us this morning. Let's bring in Juliana Olayinka from our London studio for this morning's analysis of the major headlines coming from the UK. Good morning, Juliana. So Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the worst of COVID is nearly over. Well, that's some encouraging statement from the PM, but are there truly signs that this is the true situation? Now, don't forget that Christmas is just around the corner and people might just be gathering to celebrate.
Good morning, Bissy. Well, people will be gathering to celebrate. That was announced last week, wasn't it? So we got 5 days between the 23rd and the 27th of December. And when that was outlined last week, we were told that after and before that 5-day break, that there would be tougher restrictions. And I believe that really is going to dominate political discourse in Downing Street this week. Tomorrow, MPs will be voting on whether or not they will be accepting these new restrictions. We have been in a lockdown for almost a month. That will come to an end on Wednesday. And as soon as that finishes, 99% of England will either be in Tier 2 or Tier 3, which affects 55 million people. We are expecting the Labour Party, under the guidance of Sir Keir Starmer, the leader of the opposition, to back the Prime Minister's new restrictions. But his own MPs are not happy. Tory MPs that are in large swathes of the northeast and the northwest of England, who are in Tiers 3, they're really not happy about it. And just listening to some of them speaking on British media this morning, there are up to about 100 Tory MPs who may actually rebel and are not feeling that the advice and the guidance given by the scientific advisors is sufficient. Apparently, there will be lots of transparency over the next couple of days to determine and to try to convince people why they are in particular tiers. According to the Office for Budget Responsibility in the Bank of England, it could potentially be costing Britain £900 million a day for these new tiered restrictions. And we are in the run-up to Christmas. We know that the hospitality sector, as well as the retail sector, has really felt the brunt of these new restrictions. And unfortunately for Prime Minister Boris Johnson, it's Tory ministers in those constituencies that are in a lockdown, and they're not happy about it. They want their constituents to be making money in the run-up to Christmas. So that's likely to be the theme that rules Parliament this week, though it's worth mentioning that the latest statistics we have here in the UK is that 12,000 people tested positive, I believe, on Sunday, and we had 215 deaths. And that clearly shows that the second wave, the peak of the second wave, is potentially over.
Well, that's the sound as some good news now. The government has brought forward the ban on Huawei 5G network, and that means that telecoms providers must stop installing equipment from Huawei from September. Why the change in deadline, and what would be the penalty for defaulters?
Not sure what the penalty will be. We're expecting Oliver Dowden, the Culture Secretary, to give a statement in front of lawmakers in the House of Commons later today. Of course, this is part of the Huawei 5G row. During the summer, Boris Johnson's government made a pretty controversial decision and decided to ban all components of Huawei from all 5G infrastructure. It's been taking a very, very long time to build, and so the government set out a date for 2027 for it to be completely removed. That date still stays the same, but by September it will be illegal to use any Huawei or build in any Huawei components into any infrastructure. And Oliver Dowden has said that he's doing this as part of national security. I believe they released a statement this morning saying never again will Britain allow just one or two technology companies to have so much monopoly on 5G infrastructure. And so they're really trying to push this forward. Of course, as well, we're coming out of this Brexit period, so Britain certainly want to create more innovation. They don't want to rely on China going forward. However, in replace of Huawei, there is a Japanese firm I believe that they will be working with, but going forward they want to try and diversify as much as possible. So I believe that this September date will allow them to do so, but we will be getting more information from the Culture Secretary later today.
All right then, and what are we to expect this week, particularly regarding Brexit?
Well, of course, Wednesday's a big day. Wednesday's D-Day. That's exit from lockdown day. So I'm sure there'll be lots of people queuing for miles and miles to try and get their hands on some last-minute Christmas presents or perhaps some last-minute Black Friday deals. The FTSE actually opened up in negative territory this morning, down 0.4%. The FTSE 250 also was down about 0.5%, but it's been a bumper November. I believe the index has actually risen. The FTSE All-Shares risen by 13%. So November will will actually go down as the most successful month in 31 years. The FTSE 250, this is the most successful month they've had since 2009. We've got the OPEC Plus meeting. Oil is down just before that meeting is going to take place. And of course, Brexit. We've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks. Some people have been saying it for years, but it does feel like this really is the last gasp attempt to try and get a trade deal. I was reading Bloomberg this morning. They don't think it's possible. Dominic Raab, the Foreign Secretary, has been speaking all weekend on British media. He says a deal is possible. Michel Barnier, the EU chief negotiator, has been in London all weekend trying to hash out a deal. Fisheries, level playing field, governance, still the main bone of contention. Britain say if there is to be a deal, then it's the EU that has to compromise. So we'll just have to wait and see, Bissy.
Absolutely, Juliana. Thank you, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
And back home at the debt and currencies market, a fixed income dealer at Access Bank, Akpewe Opusu, joins us now for a review. Good morning, Akpewe. Thank you for joining us on the program. Now, just quickly give us a sense of what it was like at the markets last week.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show. So for last week, it was a very eventful week in the fixed income market. We had the NTB auction holding last week, and we also had we had an OMO auction that held as well. So at the NTB auction, we saw the DMO come into the market to roll over 150 billion that was on offer. We saw a total subscription of about 400 billion on the auction. And we saw a decline in the yields across the various maturities. We saw the shortest tenor, the 91 days, close at about 0.02%. And we saw the mid-tenor maturity, the 182-day bills drop from 0.15 at the last auction to close at 0.09%. And the longest tenor maturity, the 364-day bill, we saw it closing at 0.15%, coming from 0.3% at the last auction. So on Thursday, we saw the Apex Bank come into the market to roll over a normal auction to mop up the 103 billion that came into the system on Tuesday. So we saw very limited amount on offer. A total of 50 billion was on offer across.
All right, Akpewe. Sorry to butt in there. We don't have much time, but I'd like to get your expectations for the week. Please do that in about a minute.
Okay, so we expect a bullish run in the market, in the fixed income market for today, given the level of liquidity coming into the system. We have about 1.7 trillion maturity coming into the system for the month of December. For this week, we have 418 billion or more maturity coming in tomorrow. So we expect to see bullish activities in the treasury bill space, as well as the fixed bond market, as market players try to reinvest in the maturities that are expected to hit the system this week.
Fixed income dealer at Access Bank, Akpewe Opusu, thank you for your time this morning. And that's where we end today's program. Thank you for watching. I am Bissy Adebayo.